Welcome. Today we're working smarter with Claude. Bring a laptop because we're going to try this live as we go. This isn't a lecture. Everything here is something you can use tomorrow morning. By the end, you'll know not just how to chat with Claude, but how to build with it, connect it to your work, and do it without getting burned. 8 focus areas. We start with the app itself, then what AI really is, then prompting. Then the things you build, artifacts, projects, skills. Then how Claude reaches into your systems and does multi-step work. Then real workflows you'll recognize. And finally the models, cost, and governance side, the part nobody teaches honestly. Every section has something you can try right at your desk. Here's what changed. Claude doesn't just answer anymore. It builds the file. It reaches into your systems. It runs a job across several steps. And the better you direct it, the more it does. That starts with one skill, prompting. That's where we're headed today. Section 1. The Claude app. Learn the home base once and everything else clicks into place. Start here, your home base. One place to chat, create, and open your work. On the web at Claude AI, the desktop app, or your phone. Chat is the front door. Ask in plain language, attach a file to ground it. A menu at the top lets you pick which model answers. Your projects and past chats live in the side panel. And it's the same Claude on every device. This is the single highest leverage thing in the whole session, and almost nobody does it. Set your preferences once and Claude applies them every chat. No more re-explaining who you are. Go to settings from your profile, find your personal preferences, and add your role, your tone, your format rules, and your no-goes. Save it, and every new chat already knows you. Remember the rule. A long prompt is usually a missing instruction. This is where that instruction lives. Section 2. What AI really is. Learn how the engine works, and everything it does stops feeling like magic. Under the hood, Claude predicts the next word very well. It's not looking answers up in a database. It's generating them on the spot, one token at a time, each based on everything before it. What it can see is the context window, its working desk. And by default, it has no memory between chats. Understand that, and everything else it does stops feeling like magic. Here's the honest part. Claude can sound completely sure and still be wrong. It's not a bug you patch away. A prediction engine will always predict something, even when it shouldn't. Confidence tells you nothing about accuracy. The fix is grounding. Give it the source and tell it to use only that. And then verify before you trust. AI gives you the speed. You keep the judgment. Claude only knows what it's given, and there are 3 levels. Level 1. Just this chat, what you type or paste, fast and private, but it forgets when the chat ends. Level 2. Your project, the files and instructions you loaded, and Claude grounds answers in them. Level 3. Your connected systems, your live drive or M365 through a connector. And the rule that never changes. Permissions inherit. Claude can only ever see what you can see. Section 3. Prompting that works. Learn it once, use it everywhere. Get this right and every task gets easier. Think of a prompt as a work order. A strong one has 4 parts. Goal, what you actually want. Context, why and for whom. Expectations, the tone, the length, the format. And source, what it should use. Remember it as GCS. Miss one and you get a weaker answer. This framework is ours and it works with any AI tool. The do's and don'ts. Be specific. Point it at a source. Treat it as a conversation and refine. Verify before you trust. On the other side, don't be vague. Don't mix topics in one chat. Never paste sensitive customer data, and don't accept the first draft. The value is in the back and forth. Same task, 2 prompts. Watch the difference. Summarize the latest meeting. Which one? For whom? How long? It has to guess. Now the strong one. A 1-paragraph summary of yesterday's sales sync. For leadership, formal tone, based only on the recap. Goal, audience, format, source. 1 pass, usable result. Try it right now. A rule worth writing down. A long prompt is usually a missing instruction. When your prompts keep getting longer, you're patching the same gap over and over. That's not a prompting problem, it's a setup problem. Move the standing parts into custom instructions or a project once, and your prompts get short again. Here's the move most people miss. Most people ask Claude to retrieve, give me the top 10. The power move is to make it rank by what you're actually trying to decide. Don't say list our overdue accounts. Say rank them by who's most likely to pay this week, and tell me why. The first gives you a pile you still have to sort. The second gives you a work list ordered by the decision you face. Rank toward the outcome, not the problem. Section 4. Artifacts and projects. Stop regenerating answers. Start building things you keep, and give Claude your world once. An artifact is a real thing Claude builds, a dashboard, a calculator, a document that lives beside the chat and edits in place. You don't regenerate, you refine. Make negative variance red, add a total row. Save it and it becomes a tool you reuse. And the wow moment, you can build an app that calls Claude itself. This is a real artifact we built with Claude, a working ROI calculator, live on our site. Someone enters their own numbers. How many people on the team, how many hours each would save per week, their loaded hourly cost. Here it's 10 people, 5 hours each, $50 an hour, and it computes $120,000 a year back, and 2,400 hours reclaimed. It updates live as you change the inputs, and the math is right there on screen. People times hours times cost times 48 weeks. Nothing hidden. And the point, nobody wrote code for this. It was built by describing it to Claude, and it became a real asset for the business. You don't need to be technical for any of this. You describe what you want in plain language and Claude builds the working thing. 3 that land instantly. A live dashboard from a CSV that you can filter. A calculator with sliders and a live total like the ROI tool you just saw. Or a polished one-page brief from Rough Notes. Try it right now, paste any spreadsheet and say build me a dashboard I can filter. A project is a container, your documents, your standing instructions, and your chat history in one scoped space. Open it and Claude already knows your world. Upload your SOPs and it grounds answers in them. Set the role and rules once. Use one project per workflow, not one giant catch-all. And remember, the knowledge base isn't live-synced. Refresh it when your source docs change. Let's build one live, a month-end close project, in 4 steps. 1. Create the project. 2. Load the knowledge, your checklist, a sample reconciliation, your policy. 3. Set the instructions. You support our close, cite the source doc, flag what's missing. 4. Ask a real question, what's still open and which reconciliations touch the inventory GL. And it answers from your uploaded docs, not a guess. Build it once and every month you open it and go. For ways to steer Claude, each stickier than the last. 1. A prompt or template. 2. Custom instructions. 3. A skill, a packaged procedure that runs the same way every time. 4. An automated workflow, work that runs on a trigger or schedule. The higher you climb, the less you repeat yourself, and the more carefully you govern it. Level 4 is where cost and risk enter. Section 5. Skills. The skill isn't the deliverable, adoption is. Package a procedure once. Run it forever. A skill captures how a job should be done, the steps, the format, the rules, so anyone can trigger it and get a consistent result. Captures the standard once. It triggers in plain language. It bakes in guardrails, a good skill knows what not to do. And the thing to remember, the skill isn't the deliverable, adoption is. A skill nobody uses helped no one. Let's watch one work. This is a real skill built live in a demo. A vendor proposal lands in your inbox, a warehouse automation quote, $230,000. Approval needed before month end. You just type, email this to my VP. The skill reads the PDF, reads the intent. It sees this needs a decision, not an FYI, stays honest, every figure traced to the document, and drafts the cover note. Here's what comes out. Here's what came out, no template filled in. Claude read the proposal and produced this. Notice what it did. It pulled the money and the deadline into the subject line and the top. It split the 2 phases correctly. It flagged the deposit and the pricing window as risks. none of which was labeled risk in the original. Figured out what you were trying to do. That's the moment people lean in. And the honest constraint, it drafts, you send. Here's the part people don't expect. You don't code a skill, you describe it. The best skills come from a job you already do by hand. 1. Pick a repeatable job, a weekly report, a standard reply. 2. Describe the steps and the rules, including what it must never do. 3. Claude writes the skill, no code from you. 4. Trigger it in plain language forever after. The PDF to email skill you just saw was built exactly this way, from a job someone already did by hand. What makes a skill worth keeping? It has to work standalone. The base skill helps on its own. Customization is the upgrade, not the unlock. It's flexible by design. It takes the user's own files in any format. It never acts alone, it drafts and flags, a human presses send. And even a skill nobody adopts isn't wasted because it taught you the pattern. But the goal is always to build for the person who has to run it. Section 6. Connectors, MCP, and agents. From Claude reading your data to Claude doing multi-step work with you in the approval seat. So far, Claude only sees what you paste. Connectors change that, a secure door into the tools where your work lives. Pre-built connectors for Google Drive, Microsoft 365, and more. MCP, the Model Context Protocol, is the universal plug that connects Claude to almost any system, even ones you built in-house. Crucially, permissions inherit. Claude only sees what you can see. Now the answers come from your real data, not a paste. Here's a connector in action. Once it's on, you stop pasting files. Turn on the Google Drive or Microsoft 365 connector once. It respects the access you already have. Then ask across your files. Find last quarter's pricing deck and pull the margin table into a summary. No downloading, no pasting. And it stays inside your access. Claude sees only what you can open. The connector never widens your permissions. This is the leap from AI that reads what I paste to AI that works in my actual filing cabinet. Agent gets thrown around loosely, so be honest about the levels. 1. Agentic chat. Claude uses tools to finish a multi-step task in one chat. 2. Connectors and MCP. Claude reaches into your systems. 3. Built agents, co-work, Claude Code, the agent SDK, a persistent worker running a whole job. The pattern that works across all of them. The agent gathers and drafts, a human approves. Never auto-post anything irreversible. The golden rule, and it isn't complicated. Claude gathers and drafts. A human approves. The hours in most work disappear into gathering and first drafts. That's what an agent does well and safely. You keep the decision. Agents should act only when the criteria are truly met. Define the gates or you get false positives. And always put the human checkpoint before anything irreversible. It writes the draft. A human presses send. Section 7. Real workflows. Not toy examples, actual jobs, start to finish. This is where it stops being a demo. Workflow 1, the reconciliation exception finder, a job that eats hours by hand. Give it both sides, your bank extract and your GL extract. Ask for the exceptions, find the unmatched items, give the likely cause of each, and don't assume anything should be auto-posted. It surfaces the unmatched lines. Timing differences, a small FX gap, a missing entry, and it proposes a clearing entry as a draft for your review. Nothing posts without you. Claude does the gather and first pass. You keep the judgment on every exception. Workflow 2, the verified research task. Research is where AI is most tempting and most dangerous, because it will happily invent a source. So the workflow is built around verification. Turn on web search and ask for real, cited sources, not a summary from memory. Make it show its work. For each finding, give me the source link so I can verify it. No link, no trust. Then, once it's verified, build the deliverable. The honest rule holds hardest here. Verify every fact before it leaves your hands. Workflow 3, the recurring report, the one that always takes an afternoon. Set it up once in a project. Load last month's report as the template plus your data source, and the format is locked in. Then drop in this month's data, build it in the same format, flag anything that moved more than 10%, and explain why. Now you review instead of rebuild, same standard, a fraction of the time. If you're going to move one task up a rung this week, the recurring report is usually the best place to start. Section 8. Models, Cost and Governance. Which model, what it actually costs, and where the real risk lives. The part nobody teaches honestly. Claude comes in a small family, named after forms of writing: haiku, sonnet, opus. The bigger the form, the bigger the model. Haiku is fastest and cheapest for high-volume simple work. Sonnet is the everyday default, start here. It's the daily driver on free and pro. Opus is the heavy lifter for genuinely hard problems. And Fable sits on top for the most demanding work, metered as a premium. Pick by the task, not by habit. You don't need the biggest one for most work. Here's a confusion I clear up constantly. People hear you can pick a Claude model inside Copilot and assume it's the same thing. It isn't. The way I explain it, it's like Verizon and Visible. Visible runs on Verizon's network, same towers underneath, but it's a different service, a different app, a different experience. Using the Claude model inside another tool is like that. The engine may be there, but it's not Claude the product. You don't get the projects, the skills, the artifacts. A model is the engine. Claude is the whole car built around it. The plans in plain language. Free is 0 everyday chat, projects, artifacts with usage limits. Pro is 20 a month, much higher limits and the full model picker, the sweet spot for most people. Max is 100 to 200, same features but far more headroom. Team is per seat with a 5-seat minimum. Enterprise is custom for SSO, audit logs, and the strongest security. Prices move, so verify at claude.com/pricing before you quote a number. Here's the part nobody explains, and the one your team will thank you for. On Claude AI, a person chatting on a paid plan is a flat monthly fee, per plan usage limits, not per message charges. A licensed person in a chat is effectively free. It's already paid for. The cost surprises come from machines acting on their own. An automated workflow or agent on a trigger is metered every time it fires. Skills, projects, artifacts, and co-work cost nothing extra. And the API or Claude code is per token, separate from the subscription. Know that difference and you'll never get a shock bill. This is the governance trap that catches teams. You build something useful and share it broadly, and suddenly people who aren't licensed are triggering metered work in your name. Say it this way: they're not blocked, they're billed. The usage runs on your tab. A licensed person chatting is free. A machine acting for others is metered. So pin access to a security group of licensed users, don't publish to all company by default, and govern before you scale. Approve licenses, require training, control who can trigger what. Get it right on day one, not after the bill shows up. Beyond the app, Anthropic ships industry solutions, Claude tuned for a specific field, with pre-built connectors, governance, and human-in-the-loop built in. Claude for financial services has a financial analysis solution with market data connectors and source-linked answers. Claude for life sciences connects to research and clinical trial platforms. Claude for healthcare is HIPAA-ready. And Claude for education guides students with Socratic questioning. These show where this is going. The general tool becomes a specialist. A word on Cowork. We're not going deep today, it earns its own session, but you should know what it is. Cowork is Claude working as a colleague, taking a multi-step task across files and apps and carrying it to a finish, not just giving one reply. It's on every plan, including free, so there's nothing extra to try it. It shines on heavier work, research, analysis across many documents, project coordination. And the same golden rule holds. It does the multi-step work, you approve the moments that matter. A few tools go deeper than a handful of slides can, and they get their own sessions. Cowork, hand-off multi-step knowledge work. The skill is scoping the task and staying in the approval seat. Claude Code, for real code-based work from the command line or desktop, powerful and its own discipline. And Claude Design, a canvas you drive by chat for mock-ups and prototypes. You'll learn each hands-on so you can tell someone what it does, and just as important when it's not the right move. Everything today is one climb. From asking well to building an artifact to giving Claude your world in a project to packaging a skill to letting an agent run. You don't jump to the top. Pick one repetitive task this week and move it one rung up. That's how this actually changes your work, one task at a time. Don't try to do everything. Do these 5 this week in order. 1. Set your custom instructions, 5 minutes, the highest leverage move, do it first. 2. Build one artifact, turn a spreadsheet into a dashboard. 3. Stand up one project for a recurring workflow. 4. Describe one skill from a job you do by hand. 5. And always verify everything. Every fact, figure, and name before it leaves your hands. Do those 5 and you'll have touched every layer we covered today. If you remember one thing from today, remember this. AI gives you the speed. You keep the judgment. Verify every fact, figure, and name before it leaves your hands. That's the difference between using AI well and getting burned by it, and it's the whole reason this training exists. That's the foundation. And I hope you got something real out of it. You just gave me your time, so let me be straight. There's a whole lot more where this came from. More courses, hands-on academies you actually click through, ready-to-run skills, and new drops every week, all on the site. Come learn the rest at vinylacademy.com. The foundations are free, no sign-up. Thanks for spending this time with me.